Good afternoon. This is Joe Young, and I am conducting a practice counseling session for uh, Latherno University. And my practice client today is Pam. So we are going to go ahead and get started. So, good afternoon, Pam. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. I had an opportunity to look at your intake forms. I see that you um, wanted to come in for counseling because of an event that happened to you several years ago. Is there anything else? I see that you are single. You have your dad still alive.
Yes,
Your mom passed away.
that's correct.
You have not had any medical issues before?
No,
Okay.
nothing major.
Good. All right. In regards to confidentiality, I do like to share with you that what we discussed today is considered confidential between you and I, as indicated in the forms that you completed.
Okay.
The only time that I would be required to share information is if I felt that you were a danger to yourself or someone was a danger to you. At that particular time, I would be required to notify the authorities.
Okay.
So, um, exactly what's going on? Why are you here today?
Well, I'm having some issues that actually, I'm dealing with some issues that go back several years. When I was a little girl, I don't think I've actually gotten over the situation.
Okay.
And it was, I was in the fourth grade and I had a dog named Patches, and Patches was my dog. Patches slept at the end of my bed every night and walked me to school, and so I became very close to Patches. And so my youngest sister was having her birthday party on a Saturday, and back when I was growing up, the dogs could just wander the neighborhood. They didn't have to be on a leash or anything. So Patches was just out in the neighborhood because everyone knew it. And then we heard a screech of a car, and we go down the street, and Patches had gotten killed by a car. And that was on a Saturday. I went to school on Monday, and literally my parents had to come get me because I was grieving so bad. I was crying in school. It was horrible, and I was actually out of school for 1 week. I couldn't function. So that it's kind of while it's old, it's still fresh.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that, Pam. What difficulties do you have about rethinking that you want to share today?
Probably just the whole process of death, and um, I actually probably think about death a little bit too much, and I think that has a lot to do with it. Um, so I'm just still dealing with death. Um, watching my mother take her last breath, and now my dad is sick, and it's something that I always concern myself with about me, about dying. I'm not afraid to die. I always worry about if I do leaving people behind that I love, my family and friends. And I think Patches has a lot to do with that because it really shook me. And as a fourth grader, I didn't know anything about dogs dying, people dying, hadn't lost anyone. So it's still kind of, it's kind of sticks with me. So every day it's on my mind, which is not a good thing. But at some point in the day, whether it's in the morning or in the evening or afternoon, it does pop in my mind about me, passing on. So I'm just kind of dealing with that.
And how do you deal with that?
Probably I don't, because it's really the first time I've ever talked about it.
Well, thank you for sharing that with me.
The first time I've ever talked to anybody about it. And, we carry this stuff in our lives, and it's heavy stuff. And sometimes we suffer in silence. And I think that's what I've done for many years. I mean, you know, it may not be anything to anyone else, but it's something to me, and just trying to figure out how to deal with that
Okay.
every day. You know, I have fun. I love life, but it's always in the back of my mind.
So by you saying dealing with that, specifically the death of your dog or just death in general?
Right now, just death in general, but I think it has a lot to do with just dealing with Patches.
When you think about death, what exactly do you think about?
My family. I'm not afraid of death. I'm afraid of dying. I'm afraid of the process of dying. Death and dying are two different things. I don't want to be in a tragic car accident, which is how Patches got killed. I don't want to suffer from cancer, which is, I saw my mother suffer from cancer. So, yeah, it's kind of like that, I think. Just, I don't know.
Yeah. So, in your mind, you're okay with death.
Yeah, I'm okay.
But
I'm not
you were concerned about,
the process of dying.
and so when you say the process of dying, are you specifically referring to how you may die?
Yes. Yes. I don't want to get sick and, you know, linger around for a year. Or, you know, for me, it's quality over quantity.
Yeah.
So if I were to, I always worry about having cancer because practically everyone in my family has died of cancer. Now my father has bladder cancer. My mom had colon cancer. My aunt had colon cancer. My grandmother had breast cancer. My cousin had breast cancer. So it's like all of my aunts, uncles, they had one form of cancer or another. So that's always in the back of my mind. Always. My mother died when she was 62. I'm 62. So when I hit 62, I really thought I was gonna die. I really thought at age 62 I was getting ready to check out. And then what happens is I think about the things that I feel I've missed out on. I've had a fun life. I think you know, I've talked about it before. But there are things that I feel like I'm gonna miss out on. Like, yeah, I want to be married. Whether it's married or in a committed relationship or something. I don't think that will ever happen. I don't think that I will have that at all because life is like getting shorter. I see life getting shorter by the day. And it's like, okay, I'm not gonna grow with someone. I don't feel I will ever grow with someone just because I'm 62. And the likelihood of that happening is kind of rare. So, and that's how I feel about that. I feel like I'm gonna die and miss out on stuff.
So let's talk about that a little bit, Pam, because obviously you've experienced death from family members. You talked about your mom, your dog, which have been traumatic for you. Okay. One of the things that happens to people that go through traumatic experiences is, especially in a young age, and I just kind of want to help you understand what you may be dealing with, is trauma causes people to basically stop functioning in their thought processes. They kind of come into a stall, if you mean. They go into what they, a fear mode. And in that fear mode, what you are doing is all of those emotions that you experienced in that particular time, you don't process them. And so they go with you as you get older and older. And then there could be triggers that potentially cause you to relive that moment. Okay. And it sounds like, with the death of your mom, with the death of other individuals that you mentioned, you were taken back to when your dog died. And you mentioned that you've never really shared with anyone about your thoughts about death. Tell me why you haven't done that.
Because basically I'm an introvert, and I think that I can always solve my problems on my own, or basically they'll go away.
Okay.
It's so crazy that I'm sitting here thinking. I always talk about not getting married, and I always say, if I don't get married, I'm okay, because I know what it feels like to be loved. And the only person I feel outside of my family who's ever loved me, he was actually killed in Texas, in Dallas. And that kind of ran through my mind. That it's not that I've forgotten about it, because I never forget about Vaughn. But just sitting here right now talking triggered that thought of the day he was shot and killed. Was it after Christmas time, 1989? I'm sorry. I just kind of thought about that, and so I digressed a little bit. But that was definitely.
There's no need to apologize.
Because I'm probably rambling.
No, absolutely not. What you're doing is very helpful. It's the first opportunity that you've shared with us, and so I appreciate you sharing with it. I'm quite sure there's some nervousness about it, but I want you to know that there's nothing to be nervous about. I appreciate you sharing what you have shared with me. So when you find yourself thinking about death, are there things that are particularly going on that cause you to think about death, or is it certain periods of the day that you're thinking about death?
No, it's just random.
Okay. And have you ever thought about death from the standpoint of hurting yourself?
Never. I would never hurt myself. I do say this though. If I go to bed and I don't wake up, I'm fine with that. I'm gone and I'm fine with that. It takes away that whole dying part. It takes that dying part out of my life, where I'm not suffering. I'm just gone. What happens though is that, I'm going to a better place, but it's my loved ones that I worry about. My little nieces, who would be totally crushed if I wasn't in their lives. So yeah, and there's no particular day, no time of day, no particular event. It's just whenever it pops up.
And how do you respond to those thoughts?
I think about it and then I just try to move on with my day.
And how do you do that?
Just, working and keeping occupied and taking walks, what I do daily. And so it's not something that just stays with me all day, or anything like that, but it just pops up. And I think it just pops up because I'm afraid that I'm losing out on things, things that I will never experience, that I wanted to experience in life, that I feel that I won't experience them just because I'm getting older and life is short.
And yet you have experienced many things.
I have no complaints. I'm not complaining about my life at all. It's just some things that I would have liked to have experienced in life that I just don't think I will. But I enjoy life. I mean, I do a lot of things by myself because it's like, if I can't get anyone to do it with me, I'm still going to do it. I'm not going to miss out, whether it's a concert, traveling, shopping, whatever it is, and it's something that I really want to do, I'm going to do it.
Okay.
Whether it's alone or with someone else or a group of people, doesn't matter.
Okay. But yet you still find yourself feeling like you're going to miss out. But
Yeah.
You
I do.
enjoy life to the
Yeah.
fullest.
I do enjoy, but there are other, like I said, there are other things that I wanted to experience in life that I haven't experienced. And at this point, I'm like, I probably maybe won't experience them. I don't know. I don't know what the future holds. I don't have that.
Okay. And if you don't experience those things, tell me, how would that make you?
I just keep on doing what I'm doing. I'm not going to stop enjoying. I'll be sad that I didn't. You know, I think we all set goals for ourselves, and then we're not really in control of that.
Okay.
So I'm fine with whatever hand I'm dealt, and I'm gonna always enjoy. But it's just kind of sad to miss out. I know the type of person I am and what I bring to any situation, what I bring to the table. So I'm actually, you know what? Other people are missing out. To be honest.
Yeah. So I'm glad
Other
you
people.
said that, because, you know, it's, I, when you talk about missing out, right? You sound like you're a very positive, energetic person, and
try
that
to be.
you try to make the best of every situation.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. Your being here really is one way in which you're trying to do that, because you're trying to face something that you've been dealing with
Right.
for so long, right? And so when you talk about missing out, or even talking about fear, what's the common denominator in both of those things that you control?
Missing out and the fear that I control.
Yes.
Actually, I think one of the things that that I could have controlled in the past is kind of doing what I'm doing now and talking to somebody instead of okay, I don't want to get emotional. Instead of trying to handle everything on my own, and stop trying to be this superwoman that I'm really not. And I think I overcompensate for that. It's like you go into this, I go into this, like I'm a superwoman mode, and I'm not.
And why do you go into your superwoman?
Because I feel like if I don't, then like I'm just kind of hanging out here alone and miserable. But you know, I'm the one who takes care of everything in the family. I'm the one who does this and does that, and then I find myself like really tired, and that I don't know if that's like if I'm saying like the right stuff, but that's just kind of how I'm feeling right now. So you go and you do. There are things that I know I can control. But then there are other times it's like I can't control it. It's too much. Just want somebody to come in and make a decision for me. I'm tired of making decisions. So I don't know if you know, if that controls like the fear. It's like just continuing to do things, not asking people for help, or you know, you expect people to reach out to you. It's almost like you expect people to know what you're going through. They don't know. They have no idea. But this silence about me. I feel like, okay, if I reach out, then I'm looking weak. Like I'm the weak person. So I don't know if it's controlling that fear or not by trying to do everything on my own, or if I'm rambling, I don't know. But yeah, it's like you just get tired. Like you get tired of everything. Oh, I gotta get gas. Oh, I have to wash the car. You know, oh, I have to figure out vacation. no matter what it is, you always have to do that stuff. I'm going down a different path right now. I know I'm talking about something totally different, but I think that's what happens sometimes when you open up and then things just start to flow. But that's what, right now, that's how I'm feeling. So,
And
yeah.
sharing that, how does that make you feel now?
Good. It actually, sometimes you just need to get things out and you keep things bottled up. And I think I keep a lot of things bottled up because I don't want to seem like I'm weak. I want to seem like I'm the strong person all the time, whether it's for my family or friends. And you can't really talk to them because they think you're a superwoman. I'm not a superwoman. I'll go all out for family and friends. I have no problems about that. But you get to a point, it's like a breaking point, and it's like, I'm tired. I can't continue to be everybody's savior. And I sure can't be my own.
Why do you feel like you have to be everybody's savior?
Because everybody has always looked, I think I have the personality and probably the lifestyle that people think that when you're single, you have no problems. I have problems just like everybody. Because they think that you just have everything that they...
I want you to stop for a second.
Okay.
Listen to the words you just used. You said because they think that. So how do you know what they're thinking?
I don't.
Exactly.
I'm assuming.
And if you don't know what they're thinking, why do you allow those thoughts to dominate? And so that's what we would call ANTs, automatic negative thoughts.
Oh.
Okay?
Oh.
And so we'll come back to that, but I want you to just see how you, in that instance, you allowed the ants to totally take control and create this untrue perspective. And because it was an untrue perspective, right, all of your actions line up with that. We'll talk about what's called a cognitive triad. Cognitive triad basically means that your thoughts control your emotions, and your emotions dictate a physical behavior. Okay, and if your thoughts are from a negative point of view, then your emotions are typically going to be stress, anxiety, overwhelm, fear, and then your behavior lines up with that.
Is that behavior that other people see, or is that behavior that I'm masking and only I can see that behavior?
It could be both.
Okay.
Yeah, it could be both. Absolutely.
Okay.
Anyway. Well, our time is up for today, but I'd certainly like to see you again next week. And I'll have, we'll get some time on the calendar. I do appreciate you sharing with me. As we go forward this week, though, there's two things I'd like you to do.
Okay.
Okay. The first thing is to think about what is it that you want to get out of the counseling. What's your goal? Okay. And the second thing is to do what I call thought monitoring. When you get up in the morning, just kind of monitor what you're thinking.
Okay.
And what's the emotion associated with that. And let's try and track that for 5 days.
Okay.
And then when you come back, we'll look at that. And then we'll kind of work through that in regards to how that is all tying into your concerns about death, fear, and help you process those things.
Okay.
Sounds good?
Sounds good.
Okay, great. Thank you, Pam.
Thank you.